Hello, my friends. Welcome to another edition of the Real Advice Podcast. I am so excited, really excited for today's guest who needs no introduction whatsoever, but I'm going to give him one anyway.
Oh, no, you're not really.
And it's an amazing introduction, so stay tuned. So Mr. Christoph Chu is an award-winning, top-producing luxury real estate agent with over 3 decades of experience serving Los Angeles' most prominent West Side neighborhoods spanning the Platinum Triangle, including Beverly Hills, Holmby Hills, and Bel Air. Christoph's endless passion and enthusiasm for real estate have earned him a coveted position among the nation's best real estate agents. With more than 550 real estate transactions closed throughout his career, he has enjoyed top producer status in the Coldwell Banker Global Luxury Real Estate President's Premier for many years, which honors the top 1% of Coldwell Banker's agents worldwide. He consistently ranks among the top 100 Coldwell Banker Global Luxury Specialists. He has been ranked among America's top agents in the 1,000 by Real Trends as advertised in the Wall Street Journal. His enthusiastic embrace of social media and technology also continues to raise his star status, being voted the #1 real estate video influencer in North America. And if you don't know who he is, then you've been hiding under a rock. Mr. Christoph Chu.
Well, the podcast is done now.
Yeah, what are we going to cover at this point? What are we?
You're someone who needs no introduction. I know before we started the podcast, we were even just engaging in the fact that we've been following each other on social media.
Yep.
And the moment I met you, big embrace, hug. It's like I already know you.
That's nice.
But for the select few people who don't know who you are, can you just share with us your journey of how you got into
my journey?
How you got into real estate? Like, why real estate? Like, what?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So most people think I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth in a rich family. That's not the case. My mom was a hairdresser. My stepfather worked in the kind of rare art book business. But I always wanted to be successful and live a good life and be wealthy. I always wanted to live a fancy life. I think luckily from when I was 6 years old, being half French and half Korean, I spent every summer in France for most of my youth. So I had a lot of exposure. When you're 6 years old, 7, going to chateaus in France, and you learn a lot. And I traveled all around the world. So I was modeling starting around 16, but even prior to that, at 12 years old, I cleaned apartments, making $60 an afternoon cleaning apartments for my mom's hairdressing customers. When I was 16, I worked at the Hollywood Bowl in LA, taking tickets. I valet parked cars for the private valet companies. I worked in restaurants as a cashier, as a waiter. I did kind of everything. And then I started modeling. I was discovered on Sunset Boulevard, and I started modeling. And so 16 through about 22, I was modeling. And I had just turned 18. I was dating my wife now of 29 years, and I'd be gone 2-3 months at a time modeling. And she didn't like that. She's like, how about getting a stable job? And I'm like, I'm 18 years old. What do I know, right? Yeah. I'm like, well, what did you have in mind? She says, how about real estate? And as a young, dumb 18-year-old, I thought, okay, I can show pretty houses, drive a fancy car, make a lot of money, and be my own boss. Yeah. I didn't know there was such a thing as escrow, title, inspections, all that stuff. Yeah. So I actually was studying in Saint-Tropez at the private club on the beach. My real estate classes came to LA, took the test, passed, and I was living with my family, my parents still. I went to the office near my home. The woman didn't hire me because she says, what are your goals? I said, I want to make $1 million a year and drive a Rolls Royce. She thought I was nuts. So she's like, no, you're not the right fit for our office. So I went to the next closest office because I wanted to be at John Douglas Company, which was the premier luxury company. Back in 88, 89, they had just sold a house for $24 million, like one of the best houses in LA. Wow. So I thought, that's the kind of company I want to be with. So I went there, I got hired. And first year I did one sale in the whole 12 months, a $43,000 condo co-op. I made $1,732. And then my manager said, well, you've been here for a year, you haven't really made any business, so you've got 90 days you're out of the office.
Wow, really?
So I went to a Roger Butcher seminar. You're way too young to even know who he is. He taught about calling and prospecting expired listings. So that's what I started to do. I started sending letters, calling, and door knocking expired listings. And that's how I started getting listings because I was, 18, 19 years old. Yeah. Nobody my age, my friends weren't buying and selling real estate, and I didn't know anybody. So I just had to start knocking the doors. So that's kind of how it started. Yeah. And when I left that particular area, it was called Hancock Park in LA. I moved to Beverly Hills maybe 22, 23 years ago. Betty Graham, who you know.
Yeah.
who's one of the coaches at Tom Ferry. She was the manager in Beverly Hills, and I was at a seminar I was in management. I was a training director in the office, and so I went to a management retreat, and they said, have you ever thought about moving to Beverly Hills? I said, absolutely. I've always wanted to. I just didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So I met with Betty the next day, and she said, would you like to come join the office? I said, absolutely. Packed my stuff up and moved to Beverly Hills. Didn't have a second thought. And that's how I began my more luxury side of the business.
And so that evolution, moving over to Beverly Hills, was it very similar to the start in real estate, or was it like you hit the ground running, you now have these systems in place, and now you're crushing the market in Beverly Hills? Or did it take time?
It took time. Took about a year or so to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
New area, new people, I had to learn the area better because I didn't know it that well. So it did take time. Everything takes time. Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Steve gets really excited.
I'm like, I just ask. I ask questions. Sorry.
Well, and so getting a little tactical on that, right? Because now you've been doing it for a very long time, and obviously
years. I mean, you guys aren't even in your 30s, right?
He is.
I'm 42.
I am
I
as
was
well.
selling real estate. You weren't even born. That's crazy. When I meet people nowadays, I'm like, you weren't even born. Anyways.
So getting a little tactical on just kind of your journey and everything, like what advice would you give to someone that's looking to break into luxury now? Right.
To break into luxury specifically. Okay. You have to live it, breathe it, be it in order to sell it. Wealthy people want to work with people that are like themselves. I mean, in most cases, clients that like us and hire us like us because who we are and what we are. But you got to really know that market, live there, be part of it. And they have to like you, and they have to see you as part of their world. If you're at a cocktail party or a dinner party or a special event and they keep seeing you, and they see your business, they see you on social media, and they say, oh, well, he's friends with our rich friends, so he probably will have buyers to buy our $5, $10, $20, $30 million house. So I think that's a really important factor in terms of breaking the luxury market. Number two, sales skills are always, no matter what, you got to constantly be learning your skills, rebuilding them. I mean, that's why we all go to conferences all the time. And then mindset. I think mindset is one of the most critical factors, because in my business, you have really big highs and lows every single day. And unfortunately, the higher the deal is, the bigger the commission, the bigger the highs are, and the lower the lows are. So when you got a big deal that represents a huge commission, and it's going great, you're super excited, and then it crashes, and then you're like, you want to cry and die. And so you got to just kind of brush yourself off and keep moving on. So that's kind of the general advice.
So breaking into that type of market, like every agent I find is like, yeah, I want to start transacting in those 10, 15, 20.
Yeah.
Like, would the advice be like, you know what, get your feet wet in the market that you're most comfortable with, and then the evolution can begin?
Yes.
Like to go to attack that type of market, you didn't do this overnight.
No.
It took you time to get
Absolutely.
here, right?
Yeah.
Because your first deal, like you just shared with us, $43,000,
Yeah.
$1,700 commission check.
Yep. Yeah.
Really understanding that the back end of what's involved.
Yes.
Now, someone, let's say, who's 5 or 10 years into the business, and they've hit a wall, they're stagnant.
Yep.
What might be that one or two things that you could share with them to be like, look, this is kind of the jump start.
Got it.
Back into the business.
So to go back a little bit, first thing is, as a training director, which I was for my office and then the Southern California region for Coldwell Banker, the new agents would come in, I'd meet with them, and most of them would say, I only want to sell luxury properties. And to me, that was
the kiss of death. I knew they were never going to make it.
Did they also like looking at pretty houses?
Yeah.
Is that?
But
as you know, in the NAR stats for 30 years, I think 80% of the agents don't stay in the business a year later. They're out.
Right?
It's a very high rate of people leaving because, we all, especially now with the $1 Million Listing and all these shows where they see these young 20-year-olds come on TV, and in 30 minutes they walk into a door, they say hello, they get a $40 million listing, and then they sell it 2 minutes later, and they're like, commission is X dollars. I mean, it's a fake situation.
Yeah.
But the question was specifically about.
So let's say someone's, they've done pretty well, but then they're 5 or 10 years into the business, and they've just kind of hit a ceiling.
Got it.
Right?
So going back to because this is specific about going into luxury, right?
Yeah.
So we do caravans still in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Do you have broker caravans?
We don't do them much in our marketplace.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So
broker caravans in our area, basically every Tuesday from 11 to 2. If you have a listing, you want to have it open, you can have it open. Now, the big properties are invitation only and all that kind of stuff. But even when I was starting in Beverly Hills, I would go on every caravan, spend 2-3 hours, and look at as many houses as I could. Okay. You have to know the inventory cold. And it's one thing to look on the MLS sheet and look at the photos. It's a different thing in the high end, especially to look at, okay, what does this acre look like? Who are the neighbors? What are the views? What are the finishes? So going on caravan was very important. And I remember there was a lady in my office. She'd been in the business 35 or 40 years, older lady, and she would come with me. And she'd say to me, why do you keep going look at these $5, $10, $15 million buyers? You don't have buyers for that. I said, well, I don't today, but if I do tomorrow, I know exactly what to show them.
Yeah. Smart.
And so I remember I got my first $5 million listing, which was super exciting, and I sold it. And then I kept going on caravan, and that was my highest sell at that point. This is maybe 17, 18 years ago. And then I got a random call from a friend of ours, socially. It was a Sunday morning at the office at 8:30. I get a call.
Hold on. Sunday morning.
Yeah.
At 8:30 at the office.
I'm at the office.
That's what the 1%. That's what the 0.01% does.
And there weren't even iPhones in those days. We had flip phones, but they called in the office line, and there was no assistant, so I picked up.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're going to be selling the house. We want you to come meet us tomorrow to talk about the house. And I knew the house. I'd been there many times for parties. It was one of the prettiest houses in LA. And I said, great. I said, what time to meet? Tomorrow morning, 8:30. He said, fine. I called up my wife. I said, honey, I got to stay at the office this afternoon and work and prepare. But I go to the office every single day of the year, even Christmas and New Year's, Thanksgiving. Yeah, every day. I only live 5 minutes away. So look, I don't like to work from home. Even during COVID, every single day I went to the office. I have a private office and a balcony. No staff. Nobody was there, but I was there. I need to be in my office and do my work there. I don't like to work from home if I don't have to.
So what does your daily routine look like? Because I know I've seen it. So I've seen you, on social and posting on Facebook and Instagram and different things like that of you at the office. And I've always known that you have this like relentless, personality. So what does your kind of daily routine look like?
I typically get up around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I get to the office between 6:30, 7:30. I like to have quiet time and do my social, do my emails, do all that kind of planning. One of my team members comes in at 8. Then my staff come in at 9. And then and then one of the things every morning I still do is affirmations at 9 o'clock. So every morning I have one of my Tom Ferry friends. We do affirmations. A lot of sounds in the background. Affirmations and role playing and that kind of stuff. So, and then once 9 o'clock starts, the day starts going and you're dealing with situations and, we have to show a lot of our own properties, unfortunately, the high end especially. So you go showings, inspections. I go to lunch almost every day and then afternoon appointments. So that's it's the same. The routine hasn't changed that much. The difference is in the old days, I was prospecting 3 hours a day. Literally.
I also want to point out that 32 years in the business and you still role play and do affirmations every day. Because that's like, I know people that are 3 years in the business and they think that they know it all. So they no longer role play. They no longer do that. And that's, 32 years, 32 years, y'all. Like that's amazing.
Which is crazy. Because I'm a coach for Tom, but I still role play with my coach and with my team, which is crazy. Yeah. You so nonchalantly just talk about, I wake up around 5 and I crush the day. I'm in the office around 6:37 and I go through it. Like by the time you start role playing is when people start kind of getting out of bed because real estate is unlimited earning potential and freedom and flexibility in your schedules. And we can all laugh at that.
Well, in Beverly Hills, most of the agents don't show up till 10 or 11 or 12. Look, maybe they're working at home. I don't know what they're doing, but they're not.
Probably not.
Probably not. I kind of want to switch gears a little bit, and we talked about the BombBomb, and video influencer and all that. So I know you've had quite the video journey, and from the car tours and flip video to now high quality production. But you still do like Facebook Lives. You still do quick at a broker broker caravan. You're doing video on your own. Yeah. So I just want to talk a little bit kind of about your journey and how you've seen video impact your business over the past 10, 15 plus years.
So I knew nothing about real estate videos. It was at a Tom Ferry conference with Gary Vaynerchuk. Okay. It must have been 2008 because that was my first video and it was on YouTube and it's still there. So Gary Vaynerchuk was speaking to us at a one-on-one conference and he says, you're Mr. Beverly Hills. You need to be a DJ for content in the community. So that rang a bell to me. I'm like, that sounds like an interesting concept. And Google had just purchased YouTube. And websites are, I had had websites for 25, since they came out. But things are really, social media was really starting to gain traction at that point. I mean, Instagram wasn't even in existence at that time. So I thought, well, I said, that's something I could do. So I went that afternoon to Best Buys or Good Guys or one of those places. Because Tom said, buy a flip cam, and I bought the flip cam. My assistant was with me at the retreat, so I bought a tripod, and I did my first video there at the summit. And it was silly and, just kind of like, it's 119 degrees. What am I doing here in the middle of the desert in the summertime? And I just started doing videos and creating content. And then my first big video was the helicopter tour of the most expensive homes in Los Angeles, which no one had done. No one was really doing real estate videos. So I did that. It was very, very expensive, but I just knew I had to do it. And we did that, and we put it online. And the interesting thing is immediately we started getting calls from lawyers, corporate, that you got to take these videos down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're showing ingress and egress into our homes. And, it wasn't really the sellers. I think it was the agents that were really pissed off, and they were causing the waves. Yeah. So corporate said, you got to take it down. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I did take it down for a couple of months. And then companies were promoting my videos. This is how to do videos, including our company. Yeah. So I called up the president and said, look, I said, you told me to take it down, but I got a text this morning at the sales conference in Vegas. You guys are showing my video on how to create videos, and you guys told me to take it down. So to let me put it back online, went down. So that was the first high production video. Yeah. I've done many, many, many videos. I think we have 2,800 videos on my YouTube channel. In,
2,800, that's incredible.
Well, 12, 13 years. And I remember Tom and I were coaching one-on-one, and it was 4 years into doing videos. And I'm always about monetization, right? I kept saying, Tom, I had 800 videos at that time. I'm like, I haven't made any money from this. No one's calling me. I'm not getting any deals. Just as a waste of time. He says, Christoph, keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Maybe 30 days later, I got a random call, and I'm at the office in the morning. My
6:30 in the morning.
It wasn't 6:30. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. My assistant's like, this lady's talking to you. She's in her car, and she wants to talk to you about buying and selling a house. I said, great. So I got on the phone. I said, hey, and one of my first questions was, how did you find out about me? Yeah. Oh, I saw your videos. I'm like, really? Which videos? I said, I saw your helicopter tour, and I thought if you'd spend that much money on a helicopter tour, you'd spend money to market my house. Wow. Number two, I saw your driving tour of Stone Canyon Drive, and you were very honest. I said, really? How so? Stone Canyon is a part of Bel Air, which is a very pricey area. Houses are like $4 million to $150 million on that street. And I said, if you're a sun lover, this is probably not for you. I said, it's 5 minutes from Beverly Hills. It's a very woodsy community. It's one street going up and down with offshoot streets, lots of trees, but it's a canyon. So I said, if you like the sun's going to come in your house a couple hours later in the morning, and we'll set a couple hours earlier in the afternoon. And this particular buyer was an escrow on a house on that street, and when they went at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for the inspections, there was no sun at the pool, so it was a $11 million deal. They backed out of the deal. Wow. So she says, well, I said, who are you? My husband's a big real estate attorney. He's a partner in several law firms. I thought, real estate attorney, why would they be calling? Wouldn't he know a lot of agents? Yeah. She says, my husband would like to meet you on Monday night at 8 o'clock or 8:30. I thought, okay, sure. Because they were they wanted to spend 10, 12 million to buy, and then their house was around 4 or 5 million. So I took the meeting, and I wore a 3-piece suit with a tie, lawyer. Yeah. I had my legal yellow pad with the lines. Yeah. So I sat down and I said, and I can talk their name because we did TV shows of them buying and selling houses. I said, Mr. Natsis, do you mind? First of all, can I call you Tony? He says, sure. And I said, I have my little yellow pad. Do you mind if I take notes and ask you questions? He says, absolutely. So I started going through the notes. Half an hour into my questions, and it was just the scripts. Yeah. When do you plan on moving? All that basic stuff, right? I said, put my pad down. I said, I like you. I said, I think you like me. Why don't we just get started and find you the right house? And he says, Christoph, my wife decided to hire you the first phone call. I just wanted to meet you in person. It was. I just.
It's gonna save me half an hour, right?
Yeah.
No questions.
So within 30 days, I found them a house, which they bought for over $10 million. Wow. It was a tough negotiation. I mean, he's a tough negotiator.
I can imagine.
26 times back and forth.
What?
And he said to me, he says, what's it worth? I said, it's worth just over, they had started at 14 million. They just dropped it down to 12. I said, I think it's worth just over 10 million. He said, what should we offer? I said, let's offer like 9.5. He said, nope, I want to offer 8.3. I'm like, that's kind of low. He says, nope, that's what I want to offer. So back and forth. And it was just before Thanksgiving, we started, and he's like, Thanksgiving time, he's like, I don't want to counter. I said, what do you mean you don't want to counter? He says, nope, I want them to see that they want to sell more than I want to buy. So I think we waited 2-3 weeks. I think we rewrote a new offer, and then we finally made the deal and closed. And then I sold their house a few months later. Then their friend bought a house for $5 million, and then his secretary sold her condo for $475, which I did, and then bought a place for $1.5. So we did like $27 million in business in like 100 days after that first call.
So out of curiosity, when that happened, did Tom say, "I told you so," or
No,
was he
never told me
gracious?
I told you so.
Was he gracious in the?
Maybe he did say I told you so. He probably did.
We'll ask him later.
Yes.
And they're still repeat clients. I mean, they bought a vacation home a year ago in Newport Beach for $7.4 million. They said, hey, we want to, they were looking in Malibu for a weekend house. And we kept looking and looking for like 2 years, couldn't find the right thing. And they said, well, let's consider Newport. So I know Newport pretty well. So we spent 2 days, we looked at a couple houses, and there was one house that was really not what they were looking for, but I just thought it was the most unique house in the Balboa Peninsula on the island. Not an island, but on the peninsula. And it was the tallest house in all of the peninsula. It was built in 1928 by a very famous architect. And the wife is really into decor and decorating and all that stuff. So they saw this house, they fell over, and they bought it as their beach house. So and they become really wonderful, wonderful friends. So that's the story of how videos kind of started and evolved. I need to get back to doing more videos. I've kind of slacked off lately in doing videos. You're doing them all the time, and you're doing them every Monday morning motivation, right? So I've got to get back on that bandwagon of doing it more and more because I think it's really important.
Would you say it's, if you had the choice between production value
Yep.
versus complete and utter transparency,
Yep.
where would you start?
From my history of this, first of all, I prefer personally the production videos.
Okay.
I like the way they look. I like the finished quality. And I really like to basically produce the video. I mean, I hire the right people for the specific house. I choose the story. I choose exactly how I want it, and I just have them implement it.
Okay.
But a high production video, especially on like a 20,000, 25,000 square foot house, can take 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Full day shoots, a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of money. I do like them and they're beautiful, but the truth of the matter is if you go to my YouTube channel and you see, I will do a production video and I'll do like a walking tour.
Yeah.
The walking tours that are completely unedited, just like one walk through nonstop, sometimes they're 20 minutes and I'm like out of breath, walking around. Yeah. And especially a big house. And I don't even know what I'm going to say. I just kind of just walk and talk. Just to me, it's like a virtual showing.
Yeah.
Like a buyer's there and I'm just walking them through the house, showing them what I'm showing them. So the real videos are what the consumers want. That's what the buyers always say. I love those because I can really see the house. But I still do them all. Yeah. But I'll do a live. I'll do a production video. I'll do just me walking through video. I'm also now doing more the MTV style. I kind of switched it around where my assistant will follow me and I'm doing the same walking tour, but I'm in the camera pointing things out.
Got it. Yeah.
So I'm always playing around with it. With anything, I get a concept or idea, I just play with it.
See what works.
And I like the live and the kind of MTV style as well because I think it shows your personality more. The high production quality is great and it showcases the property, especially if it's a showstopper, property.
Yeah.
But I like the ones, and I've seen some where you're live and birds will fly in or something will happen. You're like, oh geez, like, oh goodness, let's go over here now. So those are the
And I'll say stupid things in the live ones. The ones that are recorded, they can edit it out. But I'll say the same thing, like beautiful. Like in the beginning, I would say beautiful or magnificent like 10 times in a video.
Yeah.
So I would have these little cheat sheets of like the not a thesaurus, but the words like this luxury, like 50 different versions of luxury. And I'll study that so I don't say that beautiful and magnificent 20 million times in a video.
We all do it.
Yeah.
It's
And I'll say something stupid and I'll laugh at myself in the video all the time. And it's funny, people really like the laugh. Like, I love your laugh. And people, it's so funny on YouTube. Like, I'll come home and I'll just watch your videos and I feel very soothed. You have a very soothing voice and I like your laugh. So it's just interesting what people respond to.
I love your laugh.
Oh, thank you.
It's so hard to describe, but it's a Christoph.
Thank you.
When you laugh, it's a Christoph.
Thank
can
you.
pick you out in a room of like 1,000 people easily. Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Because you do so much with video.
Yeah.
So much. What's the one advice you would give to someone who's just struggling? Like they're struggling to start their video journey.
So the number one fear factor for most people in videos is how they look and how they come across on camera. I tell people all the time, you are who you are. Whether you got a camera in front of you or you don't, that's who you are. Yeah. So the only difference is there's a camera in front of you recording it. So, I mean, you're going to go to an appointment and talk to someone and be great. And the only difference is if there's a camera there, what difference does it make? It's the same thing. And I think what helped me is I was on a lot of TV shows. I was a cast member of HGTV Selling LA. So I learned a lot from being on television. And you make a mistake, we don't even, I mean, like if I make a mistake with my lines, I just stop for 10 seconds and I just pick it right back up.
Yeah.
Just don't be fearful. I mean, you look the way you look, like I said, and just be yourself. People will either like you or they don't. If they call you and you say, how do you find, I saw your videos. If they call you and they want to do business with you from your videos, it's pretty much you're going to be their agent.
Have you always had this like rock solid mindset? Because
Yeah.
that's really predicated on mindset.
Yeah.
You have a very much like a growth mindset.
Well, I've been in coaching since 1991.
Yeah, but did you formulate your mindset then, or was it did your parents teach you? Like,
No, my parents didn't teach me any of that stuff. No, nothing at all. It was all self-taught. I started reading books when I was young. One of the best books was Catherine Ponder, The Power of Prosperous Thinking. It was all about writing down, visualizing, and creating the world you want. You know, Tom talks about his story about his perfect wife. So it's the same kind of concept. So I kind of did it on my own for a number of years. Starting when I was in real estate, I was commuting in the beginning. We got married, and I was commuting from South Pasadena to Hancock Park, which was between an hour and a half each way every day to go to work, which was a lot. But I would leave before 6 a.m. so I wouldn't hit the traffic. And I thought, I didn't go to college. So I thought, well, this will be my college education. So all I did was listen to, in those days, it was cassette tapes, like literally cassette tapes. So it was Mike Ferry. Mike Ferry was my first coach. So it was all Mike Ferry. I bought every single cassette he ever had. I have boxes of them in my garage. So I just listened, and I've been in coaching since 1991. I've had coaches consistently, nonstop since 1991. So 30 years having a coach.
That's such a great segue, because that's actually what I kind of want to talk about next, because that's how we all know each other. Like obviously, like I knew you from Coldwell Banker, you know, and also, you know, through the Tom Ferry organization and coaching and all that. So, you know, coaching has been an integral part, I think, in all of our lives and all of our careers. What I know a lot of people, similar to the video ROI question, you know, that we all get all the time, you know, they have difficulty in pulling the trigger on spending, you know, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year on coaching. What would be your advice, or what would you say to that?
At the Mike Ferry Superstar Retreat in 1991, I went to the retreat, and I saw all the top producers on the stage, and coaching in those days was $1,000 a month. And I just knew I had to do it. And I thought to myself, if I spend $12,000 in the next 12 months, which I didn't have, I was worried if my credit card would even go through for the first month, right? Is it going to work? And but I knew in my mind, I said, I can make $120,000 return on this $12,000 note. I just knew it.
Yeah.
And it's not just the coaching weekly. It's you know, going 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year to the events, meeting the other top producers. And I was brand new, and I would see all the top producers on stage, and I friended them all. I mean, they'd be off the stage, let me take you out to lunch. Let me get together. Can I role play with you? I mean, Karen Bernardi, you know, from Colorado, who's been one of the top Coldwell Banker agents for forever. You know, we became friends, and we were role playing 2-3 days a week. And I learned, I emulated, I go to the conferences, I implement what I learned. And I think it's, you know, it's the coaching weekly, it's the meeting the people, it's the education, it's all three of the above. But coaching to me, I don't think I'll ever not be in coaching.
I say that all the time.
Well, you think of it even like the peak performers in any industry.
Yeah.
They all have coaches.
Yeah.
And they don't even have one coach, they have multiple coaches.
Yeah, yeah. And also, let's think about it. In our business, we get a lot of referrals from other agents, right? So you think about, you know, I've had a couple of referrals. Just one referral paid for my coaching for the last 32 years, right? So I'm serious. That happens all the time.
I've had my coaching paid for, you know, for the year, but you know, I'll work on the 32 years. I'll work on that.
That's intense. So, Christoph, at what point in your career did you switch into, you know, team building? Like having a team?
Well, I'm still having a struggle with that.
Okay.
I've had a few people on the team here and there, and they would stay for 2 months, 3 months, or I'll fire them in one day, depending on, you know, the situation. Most people just, in my opinion, aren't, especially in Beverly Hills, maybe that's my story, aren't willing to do what it takes. They just want to show up, they want to go to parties, they want to go to lunches and make a lot of money. It's just, I'm still doing today what I've done for 30 years, all that, you know, routine. They don't want to do it. Yeah. They don't want to come in the office early. And I don't understand that. So the question again was, building the team.
Yeah. Like at what point in your career were you like, okay, like I only have a finite number of hours in a day. I need help.
It was 5 or 6 years ago where I started that concept of doing not started the concept, but started following that concept and doing it. But it's been a real struggle. Right now I've got one new team member as an agent that just joined me. I'm working on another one. It's been a little challenge wrapping my mindset around how to really make it happen, how to not spend too much of my time, but really spend my time to help them. I used to do newly licensed agents. I'm not doing that anymore because the new ones, the learning curve is just too hard.
Got it.
Too hard. They got to have some experience under their belt.
Okay.
Even with that, it's tough. So that's something I've got to learn more of and figure out how to make that happen. That's not been the case so far.
Well, and I think it's probably because everyone sees you of like, your lifestyle
brand,
and your brand and all of these things, but they don't see that you're at the office at 6 a.m. They don't see that you're role playing and that, they just want the lifestyle, not the actual work.
Well, you built a big team in a very short period of time, right? You have 8 or 9 agents in your team?
We've got 9 total right now.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
thank you.
That's amazing.
It's been a journey. It's been a journey for sure.
Yeah.
But I think every team lead can share that it's challenging. It's probably the most challenging thing when it comes to real estate in your career is building a team, right? Yeah. And it comes down to fundamentally hiring the right people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So again, we go back to the fact that like I want to be a real estate agent because I want to make gobs of money and I want freedom and flexibility. And we all know that that's oil and water and that doesn't exist. Yeah. What's the one characteristic you look for though? New team member. What's the one thing? What does Christoph Chu look for?
I would say probably number one is a good work ethic and a good personality I can work with.
Okay.
There's someone I interviewed. He was doing open houses for us. I interviewed with him, a lunch interview, and there were some things he said that just didn't settle well with me. So I don't think I'm going to have him join. I'm in charge of my business and what I do. Don't need someone joining me, telling me what they want me to do for them. You know what I mean? That's just not going to work.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting how that works. That's
maybe that's just my Leo control freak nature. I don't know.
I would agree with you on that one. So.
Yeah.
Have you heard any thoughts about expanding? Like I know, like in Canada where I'm from, we don't really expand into different provinces and states. But have you ever thought of it?
Well, Tom and I were talking at dinner last night. Like, why don't you do work here in Miami? And I can barely do Beverly Hills, let alone Even Kathy Ferry this morning texted me, like, see, this guy's doing it. I'm like, thanks, Kathy.
Well, I just look at like Ryan Serhant, right? That like started as brokerage last year and has now, is just popping up in all different states and things like that. And it's interesting to watch, right?
Yeah, having big fame like that, and I was talking to Tom about it, because several big offices open in Beverly Hills. I won't mention the companies, and they asked me to kind of start that process. I didn't really want to start building an office. That's not my thing. Yeah. So, and I said to Tom, I said, maybe I made a wrong decision, but I felt it was right, and I think it's still right, So, we have to do what's right for us, And it's always changing.
So no world domination today, but maybe tomorrow.
I don't see that. I don't think I want to do different states. And look, I love being at home. I don't like being away from my wife. I like to be together or travel together. So to be gone, a week or two every month, opening, that's not for me. Yeah.
What does Christoph Chu look like in the next 10 years?
That's a good question. I still plan to be in real estate.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I don't think I'll ever retire from real estate.
Okay.
I'm not the kind of person that just sit around and do nothing. Okay. Now, if I'm traveling...
Yeah, really? Sunday mornings at what, like 3:30?
Look, if I'm traveling the world, having fun and going to parties and events, that's fine. Yeah. But just sitting around, I just cannot do that. So I want to continue to grow my business. And that's one thing that I decided many years ago. I know a lot of agents that make a huge amount of money, but they have no life. Yeah. And some of the top producers in Beverly Hills, they're not married. They have no significant other. Their clients become their family. That's not my way of being. To me, I'd rather make a little bit less money and have a life that I can control and enjoy that life. Be able to take naps when I want to and have a day off. Yeah. So that's just me personally. It's not about the money. Yeah, I'd like more money. Of course, everybody does. But I have a nice life, so it's just more, the balance is important to me. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Christoph, we're going to ask you our last question. Okay. It's the question that stumps most of our guests.
Oh.
I'm really curious to hear this from you. I'm so excited.
Stumps your guests, okay.
Christoph, it's your last meal on Earth. What is it going to be? And you're a big foodie, so this is going to be a challenge.
Pizza.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
We talked about pizza on the way up here.
Yeah. Pizza with meat on it. Pizza is my favorite thing in the world.
Like it's homemade? You're going somewhere to get it?
Oh, homemade, no. I mean... there's a lot of different pizzas that I like. I like Chicago. I mean, there's certain places in Beverly Hills.
Where do you go? You're like, I'm hankering for pizza.
I don't really eat pizza anymore. Yeah. I mean, occasionally, it's been like a number of months. Next door to my office is a pizzeria called Mulberry Street Pizzeria from New York.
Okay.
They have the best flat, thin crust pizzas anywhere. And I used to get and they're like this big.
Oh, wow.
A sausage, pepperoni, mushroom.
No way.
And I would eat half the pizza myself in one sitting. Via Loro, another restaurant down in my building, they have wonderful smaller pizzas that are delicious. And then Spago in Beverly Hills has smoked salmon pizza, which I love. Pizza would be my last meal. Pizza, and then probably really great champagne. That would be my last meal.
The balance.
Yeah.
Who knew that?
great,
Who knew
right?
that Christoph
My
was?
cheap and cheesy side, my luxury side.
That's what I'm like. Who knew that you're a secret pizza connoisseur?
I love pizza.
Yeah, I love it.
Pizza.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that if I could eat pizza every day, I would eat pizza every day. I really would. Do you like pizza?
I do like pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan of
Yeah.
pizza. Well, Christoph, we want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We know how incredibly valuable it is. We love watching you on social media, the evolution of what you've become,
Well, thank
all
you.
of your success, and we wish you just even more success in the years to come.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm very honored that you two of you asked me because I've been following you guys, and you guys are amazing. Both of you are very different in what you do, but really amazing. I mean, your TikTok stuff and all that is just beyond. And your motivation stuff and your videos are very graphically. Do you do them yourself?
I have an editor now.
Okay, because they're very graphically cool and unique. And I'm like, I would like to do more like that, and I don't. So anyways,
You're
but thank
so
you for having
gracious.
me.
You're awesome.
And we're here together in Dallas. So we
Yeah.
can have a nice lunch now and enjoy and be here for a little mastermind tomorrow.
Pizza and champagne. Well, thank you again, Christoph.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Amazing.